Yes, hi. My name is Anthony Brogdon, and you might have seen one of my videos on this channel, Strong Inspirations, in the past. But I'm the filmmaker and author. My topic is what I like to call good Black history, where Black people win. And so I always look for people who have good Black history stories that they like to share, so that you can, be inspired and enlightened and and educated, entertained, knowing the accomplishments by Black folks, specifically going back in the early 1900s or however far back we can go, from starting with slavery. And so I have a good friend on with me now that's got a good story that happened in her family. Her name is Cassandra Sims. Cassandra, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. All right. Well, I set the stage, so you go ahead and tell us a little bit of that story you had told me about what happened in your family.
Okay. So my family originates from Florida, and my father's side of the family, we have a great grandmother. Her name is last name Savannah. It's an old name. The history is that my great grandmother married a wealthy um, man that I guess received his wealth through property, family property, and things like that. My great grandmother was, I believe, um, I think she was 14, and she was married to a 65-year-old. And they did that back in the day, many, many years ago, in the early, in the late 1800s. And they wanted their, uh, my family, great grandparents and things wanted my great grandmother in particular to marry into wealth. And that's how you did it. You married someone that was older and established financially.
Now,
And
hold
so
on,
that did
older.
it.
That's not older. That's a lot older.
That's like somebody's grandfather, but that's
Yeah,
how things were done back
that guy was crazy.
in
What?
the late
He was
1800s.
lonely and all kind of stuff.
Right, she was 14. And so when you think about how
You hit a button.
Black families got to be um, to get their wealth and connection, how some of the other cultures, like Indians, for example, that come to this country, they have arranged marriages. And so if you think about it, back in the late 1800s, things like that, they had that similar in the Black community. That's how we were able to build wealth. And so in today's standards, that would be considered abuse, frankly. That would be considered abuse, and he would go to jail for that. But the family okayed that. And so through that, my great grandmother, Savannah, she acquired a great deal of property. My family owns 165 acres in Florida as a result of her marriage. And it's heir property. And currently, my family has leased that property out for the last 30, 40 years to a corporation that has hunted on that property, that have mined on that property. There's precious stone on that property that they've gleaned from that property over the years. And so, in a sense, our family it's been in our family for many years. And 30 years later, we're all, benefiting from the fact that those acres exist. I'm hoping that as a family, we can do something a little more substantial with that property, so that we can then make it work for the younger generation that's coming along behind us, that we can eventually it's never been able to be built on, just only pieces of it. But one of the things our family is considering even now is putting Christmas trees and pine trees and things on that property to allow those trees to be cut down and to be sold. And so as a
Oh,
result of that,
wow.
my family will be able to benefit financially.
That's an incredible story. I tell you, um, I might have mentioned to you, but let me say now, I got a buddy of mine who's an attorney. He had a client, two brothers, who
Mm-hmm.
they got a call from a guy mysteriously saying, "Hey, I found out that your family had some land in South Carolina, I guess it was,
Yeah.
and that we want to buy the land. You're the only heirs to the land we can find, and we want to buy it." So my buddy, the attorney, said the clients called him and said, "Hey, we got this call. We wondering what to do. We don't want to mess this up." He says, "Well, give them some exorbitant price." You know, they kind of looked it up and came up with some fair market value price, and it was, you know, high on the high side, let's say, but maybe reasonable at the same token. And they gave the guy the offer of how much they would sell it for. The guy says, "Hey, well, let me get back with you." A year later, he gets back with him, and he agrees to the price. Matter of fact, they raised the price up. He agrees to it. They both come out with about $700,000 each, and
Wow.
first right to a house located on the property where they could buy it at cost.
That's
Incredible
a
story. And so when I heard that, I called my dad and said, "Hey, Dad, we got any property anywhere? Let's get paid."
That's pretty good.
Well,
'Cause
he
we
did tell
can
me,
use a
you
little
know,
market.
all black folks did have some property at the house somewhere. You know, once, after years later after slavery, and they owned the house, had a house with backyard, and did some farming. That we actually did sell. Somebody did sell the 3, 4, 5 acres that we did own. So
That's
uh,
great.
it
That's a
I'm
great
sure.
story.
I say this to say, and one of the reasons why I wanted to have Miss Sims on is because black folks look and see. Maybe you got some property somewhere.
That's
I
right.
knew she knew it, but there's other people I told you they didn't know it. So, Cassandra, with that, any thoughts? I know how families should approach this situation. What would you hope be the best case scenario?
I would say, family, you never know who your great uncle Johnny is. You never know what came before you. Which I would say, first thing to do is sit down and talk to the old heads in your family. So, my dear, Aunt Mamie, Uncle Bob, sit down, talk to them, ask them about, how they grew up, who did they talk to, who was the wealthy person, and who always had money in the family, and how did they get their money, and things like that. Ask those kinds of questions, because you may come up on family secrets that you didn't even know about in terms of hidden wealth
Sure.
that some of your family members or cousins or distant cousins are benefiting from, and you are part of that family lineage and you don't even know it.
Wow.
And so calling people and talking to people in your family, that's what family reunions are about.
I
So,
got you.
we haven't done those lately because of COVID-19 and things like that. But family reunions help you understand who the people are in your family and who's linked to whom, because through lineage and blood, that's what our government recognizes as family lineage. So the reason why you were able to tell that story, that somebody was able to call somebody and say, you're the only person, living relative or person that we know that is in line for this property, is because somebody went down to the register of deeds and somebody went down to their county courthouse and they did a search on property, and these names pop up, and they have to go through and they have to call people,
Right.
and they have to make sure that they have to discount before you can buy property right out, and walk in and obtain somebody's family or family heirloom or property. You've got to research who those people that are in line for that property in terms of family
Yeah.
heirloom.
Yeah.
You got to know who's in line for that property, and
That
you
that
can't buy it. So you got to
that
talk to them.
that might be what they call clear title.
You got to get a clear title to the
Get a
property.
clear title. That might be what that is. Yeah, that's exactly
Exactly.
right.
So I would say start there, but first start talking to your family. Talk to
Yeah.
one another. Talk to some
Very good
distant
point.
cousins, those cousins that y'all don't talk to in Washington. You said because they're snooty. give them a call,
Right.
talk to them,
Yeah.
because you never know who passed what down to whom
Right.
that you may have rights to. Because I didn't even realize as a young girl that I had, you know, this type of property in my family. And when you think about an acre is kind of like a couple acres, like 5 acres could be, you know, a small city block. But if you think about 160 acres,
Ooh-wee.
that's a tremendous amount of property.
Yeah.
And so somebody need to figure something out, because y'all might not be talking to me for long. Because if I can figure this out and have somebody call me about it, we're gonna all get paid, my family. So that's the
Yeah,
goal.
there you go. Get paid, get paid. And you get paid, didn't even know it, didn't even know it. Oh, Cassandra, I thank you so much for telling this story. Because this is the kind of thing I want to, you know, let people know about and talk about.
Yes.
Let me give you a fact out of my book, Black Business Book. There's a guy by the name of Frank McHorter. Back when he was a slave, Frank learned how to operate a business, right?
Mhm.
And gained some skills. He got so proficient and so wealthy that Frank bought his freedom, bought his wife's freedom, his kids' freedom, and the freedom of so many others. They nicknamed him Free Frank. Then Frank was so bad that he founded a town, Newburgh in Pennsylvania. He incorporated his own city.
Wow.
Incredible stories.
That's impressive. That's very impressive.
Folks, check me out. Go to businessintheblack.net, my website. Watch my film on Amazon, Business in the Black. Read my book, Black Business Book. It's on Amazon and on the website. I'm coming at you from all angles with good Black history. Cassandra Sims, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share that story with us.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Strong and Godspeed.
Thank you.
All right,
You
bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye.